Welcome to the Port City Plate Podcast, presented by Bienville Bites Food Tour. The Port City Plate Podcast, serving up food, history, and people of Mobile, Alabama for people who love the Port City. I am your host, Chris Andrews, and I'm super excited to introduce special guests on the podcast today. Hall's Sausage has been a unique place in Mobile's food history. Yeah, you've been able to find Hall's on the dining tables of Mobile going all the way back to 1945. And Deborah Hodges is the owner, and she and her team at Hall's, they've been serving up quality meats, and she's been winning chef challenges and just been, like I said, delighting families for generations now, and with their authentic smoked sausage. And Hall's is known as Mobile's best kept food secret, and so I'm just real excited to share that secret with our listeners for sure. So Deborah, welcome to the Port City Plate Podcast.
Thank you. We hope we're not going to be a secret much
That's
longer.
right, especially after this podcast.
That's right. We want to be on everybody's plate.
Well, tell me about yourself and where you grew up at, and just kind of, a brief history on yourself.
Okay, so I am from Mobile. I went to school at BC Rain. Fun fact, John Edward, from Gunkles, and Camilla, and I all graduated, Camilla from Cammie's Old Dutch.
Okay.
All three of us graduated in the same class from BC Rain.
Very
so
cool.
We can feed y'all.
All right, so all the Parkway gang.
The whole Parkway gang can feed y'all good. So, I am a CPA. I'm a partner at Pritchard, Deborah Hodges, and then Hall's is my family's business, and so I'm the mom and the mom and pop.
Yeah, you are.
I am. My two sons and my husband work there. One son started work there right after high school, and so really before he got out of high school. He makes the sausage. He's good at production. He's good at sales. And then our other son went to Mississippi State and got a food science degree. So he brought back all of that technical knowledge, all about the safety regulations and the recipes and the formulations and product development. And so the two really make a great team. They each complement each other's skills really, really well.
That's very cool. Yeah. So y'all got a good team that. And what is your role primarily?
I say it's community outreach because I'm the one that goes out.
Marketing.
Right. I'm the one that you see cooking with my little electric skillets out, doing the demos and things like that, which is fun. It's so much more fun than taxes.
Yep. It's got to be.
So, nobody's ever mad when I feed them.
I always see you at the fun events.
I'm always at the fun events.
Yeah, and the first time we met was at one of the
we judged.
It was a food judging contest.
Chili contest at Dauphin Island. That's right.
Mm-hmm.
That's
so
right.
we're always doing this fun stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Well, what about Hall's? I mean, you mentioned 1945. What is kind of some of the history of Hall's sausage?
So it was started by B.E. Namey. He was a veteran of World War II. When he came home from the war, he worked for Hormel Foods as a salesman. And back then you had meat lockers where you went and bought your meat. And so he started a route business selling meat to the grocery stores downtown. And then he eventually built the Hall's building where it is now in Chickasaw. We were there before Chickasaw was there. I think we're the second oldest business in Chickasaw.
Oh, wow. Okay.
So we built there, and then he would sell to the grocery stores, and then it just sort of grew from there. So we still also wholesale meat.
Uh-huh.
So we wholesale everything from pigtails to filet mignon.
Very cool. And so how did you and your family come to own the business?
My husband years ago was the manager for the meat department at Saraland Walmart, and he won't like me saying this, but he was their second top grossing manager in the country right there in Saraland. And people kept coming in asking for a Hall's sausage, and he didn't have it. And so he figured out they were just one exit down from Saraland and Chickasaw. He went down and introduced himself to Mr. Hall. We did all the paperwork. We actually helped Mr. Hall get into Walmart, just as to help my husband's business, to help him, keep being good. And so they made friends. And Mr. Hall was a World War II veteran as well. He was in the Battle of the Bulge. My husband is a World War II history buff, and they just became friends. And so we talked about buying it for Mr. Hall for probably 10 years. My husband had left Walmart by this time. He was going to go open his own meat market out in West Mobile. We looked at space and everything, had our plans. We went on a road trip, came back after 2 weeks, and he went to visit Mr. Hall because they were friends. So he goes to visit Mr. Hall, and Mr. Hall says, "Where you been? I've been waiting for you. I'm going to sell you this place." And gave him the cash box and the keys in a tomato box. He put the cash box and the keys in a pistol in a tomato box every day and carried him in and out. Gave Jim the box and went and took a nap in his car, and here we are.
Wow, that's really cool.
Yeah. So he basically picked us out.
That's awesome. What year was that?
That was in 2008.
Okay.
2008. And then in 2012, we were kind of getting things. Mr. Hall was 85 when he retired, so a lot of things needed to be kind of brought up when he left. He had done a good job, but there were just still things that we need to get our feet under us because this was new to us too. So in 2012, we burned. So all of that progress that we had made burned up.
Yeah.
So not the whole place burned, but all the places where we made the sausage. The building's been added onto, and so it burned basically around the perimeter, burned all of our processing rooms and all of that. So it took us... because God is good and we have good friends and we knew good people. So we were able to rebuild by the winter. We burned in May.
Okay.
So we were able to get
really
back
quick.
up and going in December.
You wouldn't be able to do that in 2023.
No. And it helped that we knew people.
Yeah.
I had contractor clients. We had some really good people that were just good to us and just blessed us.
Yeah.
So we were actually able to keep wholesaling during that time. So we were able to, we didn't make any money, but we didn't die either.
Right.
So we were able to kind of hold on to that wholesale business for those months to kind of sustain us while we rebuilt. And we did a lot of the work ourselves.
Yeah.
So anyway, 2012 we rebuilt. That took a lot out of us. And so then we had to kind of get our sea legs again. And we finally just really started marketing probably the last 5-6 years.
Okay.
So,
what is the process that you can tell us about some of the sausage making?
Okay, so they don't tell me a whole lot. And I haven't been back there a whole lot, but it is not what you think it is.
Okay.
It's very clean. It's not gross or disgusting like you would think. We only use pork. We don't have any chicken in anything. We don't have any parts and pieces. We use lean pork trim. So we bring the lean pork trim in. They grind it, chop it, whatever they do to it, because I told you they don't let me know.
Yeah.
And they add some spices to it. I do, part of Chris asked me what I do besides marketing. I balance the checkbook. So I see the bills go out for the spices. I don't really know what they are. We buy from several spice houses, so I don't exactly know what all they are. There's a lot in that room back there. So they mix the spices, they add it in, they stuff it, and they smoke it right there in our own smokehouses.
Okay.
And then we deliver everything right now. We're not in a big warehouse or anything, so we deliver it in our truck. So if you're getting your sausage at the Walmart, it's probably only traveled 15 miles.
Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah,
and a lot of times what we make today
fresh.
is in the store tomorrow.
Yeah, that's very cool.
So
some of the recipes, I mean, I get those are those passed down from
they
Mr.
are.
Hall?
They are. They came with the plant, and we really haven't changed them.
Yeah.
So.
What? So and what kind of on your website it says that the sausages are handmade. What does that mean?
So we
Handmade
stuff them.
sausage.
We have some machines that help, but there are people in there working, like they're stuffed. Somebody's got to be there to handle them when they come out of the stuffer. They hang them in the smokehouse themselves. They check the temperature themselves. Nothing is automated at all.
Okay, and is that not the norm?
No, and we still make in small batches too. We if we need more than our small batch, we just make a lot of batches.
Yeah.
Instead of, how when you cook at home and you make a really good pot of gumbo at home for your family, and then you try to make that same pot of gumbo for 30 people, it's just not the same.
Right.
You got to know how to do that big batch stuff, and you lose some control from the big batch stuff, so we still make in small batches.
Okay. I'm curious about the. You mentioned that everything's smoked. You smoke everything right there too. What is that process like?
So the sausage comes out in a rope. Like I think you remember probably from a cartoon where you see the sausage on the rope. So it comes out in ropes and it's looped over. They call them trees. So it's looped over the sausage trees, and those trees are rolled in the smokehouse.
Okay.
And then they're cooked till whatever temp they need to be, and then rolled out and finished processing.
Yeah. And y'all got a lot of different varieties too. I know what the
do.
andouille and smoked sausage, the red hots. Talk a little bit about all that.
Okay, so we've got, I'll go in alphabetical order. We've got andouille. So that's a Cajun style sausage. It's a little saltier than the others. It's got a lot of flavor to it, a lot of different spices and things like that. It has a little bit of kick to it, but not too much. Not as much as our Cajun. So the andouille is good for red beans and rice. I used it in breakfast tacos the other day because it's got all that extra flavor in it. It's good with potatoes. It's good on a hot dog. It's probably my favorite one that we eat most of the time.
Okay.
And it's been in a lot of championship gumbos, been a lot of gumbo cook-offs.
Yeah.
So, and we have Louisiana people who buy our andouille and take it home to Louisiana. So I think
cool.
that's a big compliment.
That's huge.
Yeah, when your truck driver from Louisiana buys your andouille and takes it back to Louisiana with him, that's pretty good.
Absolutely.
So our next one is our beef. So, and it's all beef, but it is in a pork casing because that's just how it is. So it's really savory. It's not spicy at all. I had some of that the other day. I fixed it like tacos, and it was really good. I put it in the food processor and ground it up like tacos because I didn't have any ground beef. So it's good roasted with potatoes and carrots. Almost any recipe that you would make hamburger meat with, you can use our beef sausage, and it just gives us a little bit more oomph to it.
Okay.
And it's also a good breakfast sausage.
Mm-hmm.
So then we have our Cajun. And so our Cajun has a lot of spices, a lot of savoriness. It has some heat to it, but it's kind of a back of your mouth heat, because hot is not a flavor. So it's not going to just set your mouth on fire and that be the only thing you'll be able to taste. You get all of those spices and all of that flavor before you get the heat to it. So, and that's good in everything. I use that in sausage balls a lot. I use it if I'm doing something sweet and spicy. I'll use the Cajun sausage. That's probably our favorite for a hot dog, and that's what, if you come see me at like Bras Across the Causeway when we're doing our hot dog, our sausage dog giveaways for after some of the races that we help sponsor, that's the ones we'll use. Then we have green onion. That's one they don't have all the time and not all the stores have, but y'all, that one is so good.
Yeah. That
That one in a pot of potato soup is just perfect.
Really? Okay.
Or with scrambled eggs, it's really good. That green onion is just, right there, so it's really good. And we have our hickory smoked. So hickory smoked is just a basic smoked breakfast sausage. We make that in the regular links, and then we also make that in the baby links. That's just your all-purpose versatile sausage. You can use that in any recipe. It has no heat to it, just a lot of flavor, a lot of spice. We have mango habanero. That one is almost a special order. That one is sweet on the front, and you think, oh, this is nice, and then it is hot. So,
what are some uses for that one?
Just to eat.
Yeah.
Sausage dogs. We've had a request for somebody to have it at a wedding reception.
Okay.
It's just a different flavor. So, and then we've got a venison and pork. And that's sort of a seasonal in the fall. We mainly do that one. That one's been on the menu at the Hope Farms. They did it with a spätzle. It's good all the way around. It's good on a charcuterie board in the fall with some roasted sweet potatoes. It's good just on a hot dog.
Yeah.
Just as your protein on your plate with vegetables.
Yeah.
So, and then we have our red hot. So we make a regular red hot and a garlic red hot. These are not hot dogs. These are sausages that are red. And I have no idea how they get red. Somebody told me the other day to say there's a colony of artists painting them in the back room. Good an answer is. So they are red, and they are a whole Mobile thing. There are people who love them. And we've seen those cooked. Some people boil them. If we have them at home, and we have them a lot, my kids want them when they come home from school or whatever. From college, they always had to have red hots when they came home
right?
for college. Yeah.
That was their go-to?
We split and fry them until they're crispy. So that's the way they like those. They're good on a hot dog with mustard. Most people like them on a hot dog with mustard and cold beer.
Yeah.
They're just good food. They're not your baby's hot dog, and they're not a hot dog at all, but people mistake them for that. So we make those in a short link because families use them. I see them in the grocery store all the time turned over. Families use those links for portion control, and so they want to make sure that there's 8 in that pack. And so we have to be real careful to get 8 in that pack. And then we also make those in a bun length for grilling and things like that. And then we make a garlic bologna. And so our garlic bologna is just all pork. There's no chicken. There's no junk. It's lean meat. It's not your schoolhouse bologna. I had that at the World Food Competition the last time they were in Orange Beach. And so I was really out of my element there. That was one of the first cooking things I ever did, and I had to cook for 3 days under a tent at the beach. So I ran out of stuff to cook. So I started doing bologna. I sent one of my kids to the store to get some slider buns. So I did bologna sliders. We also sell cheese to our fruit stands. We sell a hoop cheese and we sell a jalapeno jack cheese.
Okay.
So I had hoop cheese and fried garlic bologna sliders. I had the contestants coming out of the tent to get bologna sandwiches.
Really?
I did.
That's when you know you're doing something right.
Well, and it's just because you just don't think about a bologna sandwich, and so it comes in a chub, so you can slice it. So I slice it kind of thick. I even fed it to Rick Bragg.
Really?
I did. He came to Mobile a few years ago and did a reading at Cedar Street Social, and his book was The Best Cook in the World about his mama's cooking. And one of the things that he really talked about was her rag bologna. So I fed Rick Bragg fried bologna sandwiches, and he said he loved them, and they were all gone at the end of the night.
Oh, yeah.
So Thacker Mountain Radio and Rick Bragg, that's what I'm taking from it. So,
that's awesome.
That was awesome. That was a great night.
Yeah. You mentioned the Hope Farm using the venison and pork. What about? Can you elaborate on that, and maybe another restaurant? What are some other restaurants doing?
So Hope Farms has used several different varieties of our sausages. They've done a special with our venison. They've done one with our Cajun. They just used our andouille and their crawfish boil for their birthday party a couple weeks ago.
That's a great idea.
Yeah, if y'all haven't been there, that is such a beautiful place. It's
is.
Just pretty. Just sit in the parking lot. It's gorgeous. So they use it in the gumbo at Steelwood. The chef at the Riverview uses it a good bit. He uses our andouille a lot when he brings people in for a taste of Mobile. He uses our andouille. And then lots of other restaurants use our sausage. Lots of competition cooks use our sausage. We just did a thing with BBQ and did a grilling at the Battleship, and so the whole ancillary was around our Cajun sausage, and those were some interesting recipes. Yeah. Those were good. And then we wholesale a lot too. So we wholesale to a lot of restaurants that are smaller and off the beaten path, that are serving things like turkey necks and oxtails, and a lot of them pork chops. We cut so many pork chops every week. We do portion control, and we do and our pork chops are in restaurants that that are very popular. So we just run the gamut.
Yeah.
We've hamburger meat, everything steaks. We sold competition steaks. So anything wholesale we do. And then, of course, our sausage.
Right. And you mentioned also that you can try whole sausage in a variety of ways. You mentioned the Bras on the Causeway. And I know y'all are also involved in a lot of different nonprofit and a lot of events. What about some of those?
So we do Bourbon by the Bay. They use, we supply all of the meat for Bourbon by the Bay for their barbecue. They did a big whole pig roast. We did that. We did the whole pig, plus all the other meat. And then we have the chefs come in, and they feature whole sausage. And so one thing that was interesting is Carlos Granderson, when he was at the Hope Farm, did red hot vol au vents, and they were the first thing gone, which kind of surprised me, but they were the very first thing gone. They were great. So we've done that one. We do Feeding the Gulf Coast, the Chef's Challenge. We do the, I'm not sure what UCP calls theirs, but it's essentially a Chef's Challenge for UCP. We worked with the Cookery Project. Last year we did a soul food cook-off with them for Vivian's Door, which was really a great event. Served a lot of people. I had no idea that event was there and so large.
Right.
And that was, of course, with the Fuse Factory.
Yep.
So we provided some food for the Fuse Factory. We've done, we did some charcuterie tables for Impact 100 for their kickoff. We'll do Bras Across the Causeway. So our race is in October, and it's at Mare State Park. I'm going to promote a little bit because I'm on that board as well. So it's at Mare State Park, right along the bay. It's we run across the causeway and back. And so Camilla's Old Dutch and I come out, and we have waffle sundaes with ice cream and sausage for breakfast for you when you get off your run.
There we go.
So, and you just got to try that one.
I'll try that all day. I can try that.
That's a really good combination. So we do that. We do lots of little ones. We provide the hot dogs for Harvest Church's backpack giveaway. And we don't have a sign up or anything at that one. And I haven't always been able to go and watch them hand out the backpacks, but that's a very humbling day.
Yeah.
We have so many people in our city that have a need, and so many different things that have a need. And so we do that. And then we do a lot of things that he does, a lot of things out of the plant that I only find out about later when we get a thank you note. So, I mean, we can't do everything. We would love to do more. Because we have a great community and this is our home. Yeah. And so we want to help everybody and do what we can, but especially anything with hunger and kids and education. Right. Those are, if we can educate our kids, we can solve so many problems. Yeah. I love that. Yeah, y'all are so involved doing that. Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's great. Now you've won a chef challenge yourself, so I got to know about how you won the award for the best appetizer. How was that experience like, and what dish did you serve? Okay, so that was a total surprise. That was a total surprise. I sort of got rooked into this competitive cooking by accident, or trickery. Trickery is what it was. They asked us to help at the Dauphin Island Gumbo Festival, Gene Fox. He said, well, I'm going to help you. Well, I didn't know Gene Fox was running the whole event. And so he did help me for a minute, and then he left. I had never started anything with a boat paddle in my life. So we had our andouille sausage and shrimp and grits. And so and that was a crazy event. I don't know, they haven't had it since before COVID, but it was crazy with the number of people that were there. And having never done it, I was just not prepared. Yeah. It was just me and a high school friend. It was bad. So anyway, we... about halfway through the day, Gene comes over and says, I need your entries for the judges. I'm like, what do you mean my entries for the judges? He's like, so all I had were, and this is a World Food Competition judge, so all I had were some paper trays and some plastic spoons, and my grits were almost out, and they were thick because they were on that boiler all day, so I took the sauce from the shrimp and thinned out my grits. They were brown. They were horrible. And I did not lose. That's crazy. I did not lose. I don't know who lost, but it wasn't me. And I was like middle of the pack. So I was pretty pleased that I was middle of the pack with that. And Gene is the reason I was middle of the pack and not a complete failure. So it kind of expanded from that, and I've worked with Alabama Coasting and the World Food Championship, and so they've kind of pushed me to do things like this. So when the chef challenge came, I was like, okay. So I always try to think of doing something easy because I'm not a chef. I don't know how to do this. I don't know how to cook for big crowds. I'm a CPA. I have a big family. My grandmother was a schoolhouse cook, so I kind of learned some tricks from her because nothing more than I love to stand on a stool and cook with her my whole life. So kind of learned some things from her. So I make comfort food. I make things that my granny would have made, using the ingredients that she would have used. So for that, I did an andouille jalapeno popper dip. So it's chopped up andouille, cream cheese, our jalapeno jack cheese, a little bit of mayonnaise to keep it from being thin, and I served it on Fritos, and it was people's choice. And so you have sausage and cream cheese and Fritos. I love it. And it's warm. So the food of the people. Yeah. So that's what I try to do. And that was amazing that I won. Yeah. So,
if you remember during COVID, we were doing the Anvil Bites. We were doing the bites in the bag, and we were doing home deliveries, and we did the andouille sausage, and we did that recipe.
I still have that on my refrigerator.
I still have people that talk about how good that was.
Yeah, well, I appreciate it. That is a really good recipe, and it's so easy. And then you can take that dip. It makes a really good grilled cheese.
Yeah.
You can thin it out with some evaporated milk, pet milk as my granny would call it, some evaporated milk, and make like a sauce. So if you take that and you thin it out with the milk and add some diced tomatoes, makes a really good sauce to put over like fried oysters and grits.
Okay.
Or pork chops, any kind of heavier fish, anything. But our favorite way to do that is fried oysters and grits.
Yeah.
With andouille cream gravy over the top.
Oh, yeah, that sounds good.
Yeah, not low fat.
Oh, we're not worried about that.
No, that we don't have that one very often, but that's my favorite way to do that.
Do you have that? Do you have the recipe where our listeners could get that?
It is on our Facebook page and our Instagram, but I'll move it to the top.
Okay.
I've posted that one several times because I take that one out a lot.
Yeah.
Because, why would I not?
So, what are some of your other favorite recipes, and what are some things that our listeners could do at home? Go to the store. Where could they go get Hall sausage? I guess first.
So, not every store has every variety. So, if you don't see the variety that you want, or you don't see Hall sausage, the best thing you can do, and the biggest favor you could do for us, is to ask them for it. And sometimes they have it. It's just hard to find. So, we're at Walmart. Rouse's, Greer's, Piggly Wiggly. A lot of the produce markets have our stuff. And those are the main ones. The biggest varieties are probably in the neighborhood Walmarts.
Okay.
They're the one at Providence always has a really good variety. And the one at Cottage Hill and Hillcrest doesn't have a lot, but it's mixed in there. You can kind of find it, but we don't have a lot of space, and so that grocery store shelf space is probably more valuable than Waikiki Beach footage.
Yeah.
It's rough.
So what are some recipes? What are some recipes some of your favorites?
Okay, so my favorites, if I'm taking a dish, I'm going to take jambalaya. And Mobile's a Creole town, and so I take a Creole jambalaya, and it's red, and I know people don't like red jambalaya, but mine is so easy. And I think the secret is the fresh vegetables. So for that one, I'll do half and half, Cajun and andouille, so you'll get the flavor and a little bit of heat to it. It's just the sausage cut in nickels and fried, and take that out of the pan, add bell peppers and onions. Maybe some celery if you have it. If not, just bell peppers and onions. Saute those off, add the sausage back, add some canned tomatoes. The petite diced tomatoes are what I like. Stir in the rice. That's it.
That's easy.
That's easy. And if I'm bringing your family a meal, that's what you're getting.
Yeah.
And most people love it because it is so fresh. And it's really kind of it's a heavy meal, but it's got some light flavor to it.
Right.
For breakfast, my nephews used to come over. I have 4 nephews, and I have 2 boys. So I would have 6 boys for breakfast. So I'd use 5 pounds of potatoes and about 3 pounds of sausage. And I would just slice the sausage up, and you can use any kind that you want. The Cajun or the hickory smoked is probably what I use for most of that. So dice some potatoes, and it's better if you bake the potatoes the night before if you can plan ahead, or you can pop them in the microwave and get them soft. Just cube them up, fry the sausage, put an onion in there. If you're having teenage boys, you need your onion real small, or use some onion powder, maybe some garlic powder. Give your potatoes some flavor. Take your sausage out of the pan, add those potatoes that are basically pre-cooked, stir them up, get them done, brown them off, add your sausage back in. You can add eggs and scramble them in at that point, or not. And that's breakfast.
Yeah.
Have it with sour cream, put some cheese on top, some green onions. If you're having teenage boys, you don't need any of that stuff.
I hate we did this before lunch, this episode.
Sausage is probably so it's good as a protein on your plate, just in place of another meat. But also, pretty much any recipe that you're going to use diced chicken in, you can replace it with sausage.
Okay.
Stir fries.
Yeah.
anything. I just made, and it's on I actually did a reel about how I made it. So got this recipe from Smoking and Grilling with Chef AB, I think, in California. Smothered green beans with andouille sausage.
Really?
So good. I had some string beans from the farmer's market. He used, I probably wouldn't use bacon, but but I followed his recipe. So he used bacon and andouille sausage, onions, new potatoes, and he made, after he browned the bacon and the sausage and the onion, he pulled it out of the pan and made a roux and had it over those with paprika and garlic powder and all of that. Made a roux. It was the best thing we've had in a long time.
Really?
And who puts a roux on green beans?
Yeah.
I never would have done that, but it was really good.
That's crazy.
Mm-hmm.
What are some other ways that you've heard from other customers, that people are using whole sausage at home? What are some other things that people are doing?
We've had one lady ordered it from California because we shipped. She ordered it from California, and she boils it with rice for her daughter, and her daughter loves it. Kids love Red Hots.
Yeah, is that right?
They're not really hot, but we'll get letters from, or emails from people like, I had to cut my kids off. we can't. They were eating them all. They were eating a pound at a time.
All right, I'm going to get some for my kids.
So they, I'm trying to think. I've seen Red Hots used in gumbo.
Yeah.
Red beans and rice. A lot of people use our sausage in their gumbo, especially our andouille and our Cajun. We get all kinds of recipes back, and I can't really think of anything. Using the Red Hots and the gumbo and the red beans and rice was a surprise to me.
Yeah.
But it's one of our followers. It's her nanny's gumbo recipe, and if your nanny uses it, it's got to be good, right?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
So, just a variety of ways. People grill it. People score and smoke our garlic bologna on the grill. They use all kinds of recipes.
Yeah. So you mentioned if people are outside the area, they can have it shipped. So they go to your website.
Mm-hmm. They go to our website and we'll ship.
Okay. Mm-hmm. All right. That's good to know too. Mm-hmm. How have you maintained consistency through the years? So, food trends have obviously changed, especially 1945.
Right.
How have y'all been able to keep that consistency through the years and through the decades?
Well, food is really funny because it evokes a lot of memories. And so that's kind of been a plus for us. We added when Cajun cooking was all the thing, those were the years that we added our andouille and our Cajun flavors to it. But the smoked sausage and the Red Hots and things like that, they're just staple items in a Southern diet. And ours are really a Southern sausage. And sausage is very regional. Of course, we try it everywhere we go. But it's a very, very regional taste. And we're lucky because ours actually has a taste.
Yeah.
So, my brother moved to Texas, and he's like, this is horrible.
Just bland.
It's just bland.
Uh-huh.
And so we're really fortunate that we have a big, bold flavor in ours, and we think we have probably the biggest and the boldest. And while we have that big, bold flavor, our sausage is not going to overpower. That's why we have a lot of chefs use. A lot of chefs tell me they use it at their house.
Yeah.
Because it's not going to overpower their recipe. Because if you took all the time to come up with your recipe and put all of your creativeness into it and all of your art into it and all of your work into it, your recipe should taste like your recipe and not my sausage.
Yeah, that's right.
And so we try to be the base to build your flavor from.
That's a good point. Well, I think y'all definitely are Mobile's best kept secret. And what do you think why do you think that is though? What do you think is the secret?
I think
when you say that, what do you think that is?
Part of it is the lack of marketing that we've had over the years, that we're trying to rectify that. But marketing is one of those double-edged swords where you need money to do your marketing, but you need to sell more to make the money to do the marketing. Yep. So it's sort of a chasing your tail kind of thing until you get some momentum going. And it's hard to know how to market in this area and where you're going to reach. So we find out, that's one reason why we're always out giving away samples or recipes or things like that, because people have to taste it, because it's not, you're just not going to buy a sausage that you don't know about. So when people taste it, they really love it. I told you earlier, we had somebody drive down from Birmingham to get several cases, and they want to distribute it, except they don't have a place to distribute it from yet. But he's working on it. So it's a tough market to really break into, because food is so personal.
Yeah.
And you're used to buying the
Loyal.
brands. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Used to buying what you're used to buying. And so we're trying to get our name out. We're trying to do more with social media. We're trying to get more publicity, get more in front of people, and have people taste our sausage and just hear about it. Because most of the time, if they taste it, most people really do like it.
Right. Yeah. 100%.
And so.
And I guess if you're a restaurant owner, if a restaurant owner is listening to the podcast, you know, I know some of the restaurants now they'll advertise a certain brand of sausage, and it usually is not that. Sometimes it's not that sausage.
That's
so
true.
They need to have some Hall sausage.
They need to have some Hall sausage.
What can
I'll
they...
make them a sign.
Yeah, that's right. What can they do to have Hall sausage on their menu?
They can call us.
Yep.
They can call us. And we do restaurants, and it's funny because, you know, we're a little restaurant wholesaler, but I can't tell you how many times we've gotten up at 5 o'clock on a Sunday morning to go to the plant and get a case of bacon and take to one of our restaurant owners.
Yeah.
So, you know, what we provide too is service, and especially for like a new restaurant, we don't make you buy just hundreds of dollars worth of inventory, because, you know, a lot of times I heard a story about a restaurant owner, and he said the day that he got open, he had $20 left in the bank account. And so that night he took all of his money and went to the grocery store and bought new groceries. And that's how most restaurant owners are when they're starting out. It's a tough business.
That's right.
And so we're right there. So if you're going to Sam's or Costco to get your products, you can call us and say, hey, I'm on your way. We'll have your stuff sitting on the dock. You back in, we put it in your truck or your car, and you go.
Yeah.
And we're so much more convenient, and we sell to a lot of people like that.
That's what I love about what you said earlier. You know, it's fresh. You know, you're going to have it. It's fresh made.
We may tell you not to come till 2 or 3 o'clock
yeah.
to wait for us to get it packaged.
Yeah, I love that about it. So what do you think's next? What do you see the future of Hall sausage? Where do you think that's going?
We are looking at getting in some warehouse situations outside of the Mobile area. Right now, we only sell in Mobile. So we've been all these years in Mobile and the edge of Baldwin County, basically the eastern shore of Loxley. Yeah. So we're looking at doing some distributing with some different places. We've had a lot of interest from North Alabama. We've had a lot of interest from Louisiana. We're just going to see what we can do.
Yeah, love that. All right, so y'all got to get out to Walmart, Rouse's, Greer's, all the places. Pick up some Hall sausage. Mm-hmm.
Ask for it. Tell them you can't find it. Just keep it on their mind.
Ask for it at restaurants, right?
Ask for it at restaurants. Yep. That's right. So we are the only local sausage. So if you're doing local, and you know, and I hear people say local, well, you can get to us. You don't need to check your gas.
Yeah.
You probably drive next to us. If I met 2 customers the other day in the Sims Walmart because I was straightening the case.
I love that. Well, I appreciate you coming on today. Before you get out of here, though, we do have to move on to our next segment of the podcast, and it's very appropriate for today's show, Meat and 3.
Okay.
And so we've already gotten into the meat, literally, of the podcast. Okay. And so I've got 3 questions that I wanted to ask you. Okay. And so where are some of your favorite restaurants in Mobile?
Okay, so we have so many good ones.
I know it.
We have so many good ones.
I'll let you pick 3.
Okay, so lately we have been eating at the Grand Mariner.
Oh yeah.
An oldie but a goodie.
I hadn't been there in a long time.
We had not been there in a long time, and we went earlier in the spring. I asked the waitress what I should get, and she suggested the fried stuffed flounder. Okay. And I was like, how? Because I remember what that stuffed flounder looks like. How are you going to fry it and keep that stuff in there? I don't know how they do it, but it is so good.
Yeah. I remember their crab claws are always good.
Their crab claws are still always good. We love that one. If I'm taking people from out of town that haven't been here, a lot of times we'll go to Butch Cassidy's for a burger. Yeah, yeah. You know, just because. You can't beat it. You can't beat it. And Cammy's Old Dutch ice cream is right there for dessert. Right. So, can't beat that. And the third one. So, I'm in West Mobile. I told you I'm a CPA too, so we're tied to the office during tax season. There a lot. So we have a lot of grilled chicken salads from Heroes. Yeah, okay. At our office. Grilled chicken salad. That Heroes has a fabulous grilled chicken salad. Yeah. So we our office is a frequent flyer into the Heroes.
Yeah.
So, and they have never messed up our takeout order in years, and I'm talking probably 2 or 3 times a month.
Yeah, that's good.
So,
What do you think what's one dish or what is one recipe with Hall sausage that everybody needs to try? It can be at a restaurant or it can be, like I said, in the kitchen. Everybody's got to try it, though.
That's really hard. That's really hard. I think for me, it's probably the jambalaya recipe that I talked about earlier. That's just our family go-to.
Yeah.
That's what we have at Christmas. And we have somebody in our family who doesn't eat rice. So I take that same peppers and onions and andouille sausage, and I do it over pasta with Alfredo sauce and a little bit of a can of petite diced tomatoes to make like a, I guess, aroma sauce.
Okay.
Something like that, a pink sauce. And then cover all that with mozzarella cheese.
Yeah.
So
all right, that sounds good.
That's pretty much the recipe I did for the Mobtown Smackdown.
Yeah,
too,
that's good stuff.
Yeah, and we won a prize with that one too.
Nice, nice. Congratulations. What about, so my last question before you, what's one restaurant within driving distance of Mobile that everybody needs to go to? Doesn't have to be in Mobile.
Doesn't have to be in Mobile, but driving distance.
Yep.
So, how far driving distance?
We can go to New Orleans.
We go to New Orleans?
We can go to Pensacola.
Okay. You stumped me. We don't really have any regular restaurants that we go to. I had a meal catered by Galatoire's the other day in New Orleans. That was pretty fantastic.
So it was catered here in Mobile?
It was in New Orleans.
Okay.
They have an event space.
Okay.
That was pretty fantastic.
Yeah.
I think if you're here, you just need to get out to the restaurants we don't hear about.
Yeah.
There's so much good food that is in little tucked away places that you don't necessarily know about. The mom and pop kind of restaurants that are off the beaten path.
Yeah, like you mentioned the Grand Mariner. Yeah,
the Grand Mariner.
That's off the beaten path, yeah.
If you haven't been there lately, they're really good.
Yeah.
And I'll say they've been better than what we've had on the Causeway.
Yeah.
And, at least as good.
Right, for sure.
We eat at all kinds of places, and we eat at home a lot.
Yeah.
We're old.
Don't eat out as much?
We don't eat out as much as we used to.
Yeah.
We don't. I think we got out of the habit during COVID.
Right.
And I think we just haven't gone back to it.
Yeah.
And
y'all kind of navigated COVID pretty well, right? I mean,
we did.
Since the grocery stores were still going.
The grocery stores were still
going.
There were times though when we would be the only meat in the meat department, and it's because we're small enough that we were able to. We weren't tied in. We didn't have a contract with any particular place, so one of our trucks were like, "Well, it'll be here Thursday." We ordered some stuff. We'll see what's on there.
Yeah.
We'll see what we have, and I think we were maybe without like one day.
Wow.
And so we were able to have trimmings, and we supplied a lot of restaurants during COVID that we don't normally supply because we were the only place that could get any kind of meat.
Mm-hmm.
So we that really served us well, and the USDA is doing a lot of work right now to move that centralized model back down to local, because they realized that having 2 or 3 places that service the whole country,
it didn't
just
work
not
out
a good
very
idea.
Well. Yeah.
Just not a good idea.
That makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
Our next segment of the podcast is called Chris's Dishes, and this is where I talk about the best dish that I've had lately.
Okay.
And if you have a dish that you've had lately,
okay,
you can share that one as well. But after the last podcast episode with Jim Smith, I went to the Hummingbird Way the next week because it was just fantastic. He really convinced me to go listening to that episode, and I learned a lot about all the talk about eating local. I mean, he's doing it right when it comes to that. And so, but the biscuits. I mean, we talked about that on the podcast, and those biscuits are they're incredible.
He did Bourbon by the Bay one year for us, and I could be a vegetarian if you talk to me just right. And he did rabbit stew with our Cajun sausage and those biscuits. It was delicious.
It's unreal. Yeah, the butter,
so
cane syrup. It's just that's got to be one of the signature dishes of Mobile. Are the biscuits there at Hummingbird Way? Which I had also had the stuffed flounder as well. It was a whole flounder, fantastic. And my wife had the crab cakes. I mean, everything we had was delicious. I mean, it's one of the best restaurants in Mobile.
He's so nice too.
And I would never. I usually don't try to like, you got to go listen to the other episode. But I mean, that was a good one. And you got to go out to the Hummingbird Way for sure. Do you have a dish that you've had lately?
So I'm not gonna lie, the best dish I've had lately was a fresh tomato sandwich.
Yeah.
From the Lucedale Farmers Market.
Yeah, that's where you do tomatoes.
I got the tomatoes there. The farmer that I bought them from wasn't even wearing shoes. Literally, didn't have on shoes. He was an older guy, and he told me he personally knew each of my cucumbers that I bought. So I did a engagement party for my niece and nephew last week, and I needed to do some vegetable trays, so I went to the farmer's market that morning to get vegetable trays, and I went to Lucedale because that's closest to me, and got fresh tomatoes. So last night I had fresh tomato sandwich for supper. It was delicious.
That sounds good. Well, Deborah, thank you for coming on the podcast today.
Thank you for having me.
I've
it's
really
been
enjoyed
fun.
it. Yeah, it's been good. It's definitely opened my eyes, and I'm excited to go get some Hall sausage myself.
Good.
And I'll share some recipes that that you've got, and we'll be sure and share those on the Porch City Plate Facebook group and all that too. So, but anyway, thank you for coming on the show. Before we do get out of here, if you're listening to this episode before July the 3rd, you've got to go vote for Being Bites. We've been nominated as one of the 10 best food tours in the country. So an incredible honor with USA Today, and I'm super, super excited about that. And of course, if you go to the Being Bites page, you can find that on there too. So
you earned that award.
Yeah,
you've been working hard for a long time.
That was really a fun deal. We're ranked number 2 right now, so people have been voting.
Great.
And so definitely, encourage everybody to go vote. Let's get up there to number 1, and let's tell everybody in the United States about Mobile and the food we have here. I got some other cool, really exciting news. I can't share. I'm under embargo right now about the podcast. But hopefully on the next episode, I can tell y'all the really, really good news that we got about the podcast coming up too. Okay. So be looking forward to that, and be looking forward to some other episodes we got coming up soon. So thank y'all for listening, and you can subscribe to the Porch City Plate podcast, of course, anywhere you listen to podcasts, and follow us on our new Instagram page and on Facebook, and Hall Sausage. Gotta go get some.
Thank y'all.
All right, thank you.